As you cross Central Ave, it ends. And then it goes all the way down to Mattapan with no bike path, and then it picks up in Mattapan Square, goes up Brush Hill Road, and then Truman Highway. And the discussion was to how to connect that, and there were 6 plans. And then DCR came up with their new plan, and basically you'd be on the Central Ave side as you're coming down from the Fallon side and, coming from the Boston side. You'd cross Central Ave. You'd still be on the Henry side, so you were still on the Milton side. You'd go down about 400 yards or so, maybe further, but somewhere around Valley Road, and not connected to the station, because that's a whole handicap accessibility matter. But so you'd have Elliott Street, you'd have the homes, you'd have the trolley line, and then you'd have the bike path, and then you'd have the river. And it's very close to, it's going to kind of follow the river. So there'd be a bridge, and the bridge would go right across to Ryan Playground. So it's on the Milton side, so Ryan Playground crosses over on a bridge that would be accessible for emergency vehicles. Then it would follow the river all the way down to Mattapan Square, and just before you get to the MBTA station, Mattapan Station, the bike path would actually lift up so that the trolleys could go underneath. So it'd be like a bridge, it'd be straight, so you're not looping up or anything, but you just travel up, I think 20 feet or so is about the height of a trolley is. Trolleys would come underneath, and then the bike path comes back down, and then would connect down into that. There's an old historic building, which I didn't know was old historic because I just thought it was a mattress place.
That furniture place?
The furniture place. It used to be a flower shop a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time.
It's historic now, and DCR has purchased the property, and they're going to make that as a center. They would probably have flyers and stuff in there. It's sort of like a tourist center. And to connect there, and then they work on crossing over Blue Hills Parkway and then back onto the path. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it, Bob?
I thought it had merit, but I liked the idea that the DCR has talked about a general meeting, and then also, more importantly, a stakeholders meeting where they will meet with individuals that perhaps along the route, because I would imagine they'd be called the stakeholders, that had questions or concerns, and that they would try to address those. There's no doubt where it starts and runs by the Henry side, there's no doubt going to be Elliott Street residents that would have some concern, probably in the area of safety or security, that the path would be in the vicinity of their properties. So that, I suppose, the good news, if you're thinking safety or security, the path would be on the River Street side of the tracks. Would that be correct?
Yes.
And do you know if there's like existing fencing on the left? Or?
They would have fencing on, well, it'd be fencing on the Milton side between the trolleys and the bike path, and then on the Mattapan side.
They'd have to block it from the river somehow. I mean,
no, there's no fencing there. There's no, you can get to the river.
No. What I meant was that, a bike wouldn't be able to come off the bike path and go down the bank into the river. You'd have to have something to block it.
Yeah, they may have some. I don't. I'd have to go back and see the plans, but they're worse. I mean, DCI is very cautious to say.
So they have graciously offered what they call stakeholders meetings too, in addition to a planned general meeting. The date hasn't been announced yet. And then I suppose that the Board of Selectmen welcome comments on the path from interested residents.
Did they say anything about if you're going to have this artificial hill going up,
yeah,
and then you're going to come right down onto Blue Hill Avenue, is there anything to break them?
Well, first of all, they were responding to the T, who definitely did not want an at-grade crossing, because they felt it was be dangerous. Okay. And so then they talked about how they could have a crossing that wasn't at grade, and they talked about going under, and then they decided not going that route because of safety concern, people perhaps not being in view and so on, going underneath, and they thought that going over was good, and that perhaps it could even be designed so that it would sort of be enhancing. And so they don't have an exact design yet, but it would be a design that you described that would have a gradual incline to go up as high as needed to be and then back down again.
And I know the state's probably going to be looking for some input from this board, and also they're looking for federal funding for this project because there is no funding right now. And they're probably, if the board is in favor of this design plan, they'd probably want both a letter of support, also a letter that they could send off to the federal government supporting, you know, some kind of funding for it in order to get it accomplished. There are safety features.
Yeah.
They have these wireless police emergency telephone systems, so, and they're talking about security cameras. So they have different plans for security in the bike path. And there's already, down at the MBTA station, as this board knows, there's already a substation where the MBTA police, you know, house an office down there now.
Okay, well, if we could, I think it'd be each member, I don't think each member has a copy
I'll get
of
a
the
copy
new
of the
plan,
plan.
so
Yeah, I'll get
the
a
copies.
copy.
And
Yes.
But I also want to know how the neighbors feel
Yeah, how
about the whole thing. You
so
know?
we could delay a bit for the stakeholders' meetings to see.
Do you think it would be possible to have these people that are proposing at the DCR come into a meeting some night and ask the neighbors if they want to come and just...
Yeah.
Sure. I think it would be fair to say, Mr. Chairman was there, it was really very well supported. I went to the one a year ago. There wasn't that much support, but I think there was a tremendous, and there may be 70 people there or so.
It was a good crowd.
And there were 4 ovations on this project, so I think a lot of people were very supportive on both Mattapan and Milton of this project. So
Good.
I'd be very surprised if
I
there's
was
a lot.
impressed that the DCR definitely over time has been trying to address concerns that have been raised. And I think they'll continue to do so.
Well, I mean, it's taken a long time to
Yeah.
get to this point. If we have a consensus, you know, let's support it,
Yeah.
you know, to get it off the table. So if we could do that and just get the assurance that the neighbors are for it.
Yeah, I was sitting with Mr. and Mrs. Cronin. I didn't ask him if his plan was better than this one, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'll ask him if he,
Mr.
if he
Cronin?
thought, if he thought this modified DCR plan, which kind of stole some of his plan, is better than his
Well,
original plan.
Let's put it this way. If there is a solution here, about the vast majority of the percentage of the solution belongs to John. Because he had put a lot of thought into that plan, and you know, it was just a question of how we ended it at the MBTA station. I mean, to go out onto River Street before you hit the station was a non-starter, and I think you know, John's plan brought it back across the river again to get out onto Blue Hill Avenue, and this might be an even better solution. I don't know. I didn't know they had purchased that
I didn't know it
furniture
was a meeting.
store.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. I
I
didn't know it was a
always
store.
wondered
I
if
didn't
they
know it
ever
was a
sold a
store.
couch out of the
So-
place. You know, Jordan's it wasn't.
True.
Under Chairman's report, the other item that I wanted to mention was I wanted to publicly compliment the Milton Interfaith Clergy Association regarding the 10th anniversary remembrance at the town's gazebo on Sunday, September 11th. I thought it was just a wonderful display by the Milton Fire and Police Honor Guard, and by the different comments that the clergy made, by the tolling of the bells. I thought that was great. Both churches tolled their bells at the same time, and one church's bell was nice and loud, and it complemented the other church's bell that you could see going back and forth. And it ended with the people that were there, and there was a good number of people that were there with a candlelight procession. It was very well done. I just wanted to compliment the clergy on that. Under new business,
There's one other item, Mr. Chairman, maybe the board will authorize you to extend, you know, we have this home consortium. It helps communities like Braintree, Holbrook, Milton, and Weymouth with affordable housing. And we've belonged to this consortium for a few years now, and there's a need to consider that the town of Milton, through the Board of Selectmen, extend for another 3 years with this consortium.
For me.
So I guess, is there a motion to approve the automatic renewal provision for an additional 3 years?
I'll make a motion for the continuation of, or the extension of the home consortium agreement under the automatic renewal provision for an additional 3 years.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Is there any other new business? Old business?
Under old business, I guess it's old business. Michael Joyce was in tonight, and I still feel strongly that, that the selectmen should be the one to put together a study committee. I think it's a good idea. I think anytime we can study town government and take a look at it is a good idea. So I would like to propose a motion to organize a study committee consisting of just a general citizen from the town, a citizen who's a management consultant or has a strong management background, another citizen with a strong public administration background, a member of the warrant committee, and a member of general government within the town to form a study committee to study town government.
Yep. Let me just comment on that. I thought that what you're suggesting, and I'm in favor of that, I thought that was what Michael agreed to at the last meeting that he attended. You commented words to the effect of, why not just have the selectmen do it? And I thought he acquiesced to that, but however, since he didn't, he's perfectly entitled to with his citizens petition, but I would also support your motion.
It's not that he's entitled, He's got his 100
signatures.
He's got his 100 signatures and they've been certified, so
Yeah.
it's on the warrant no matter what.
Yeah, unless he wants to withdraw.
Even if he wants to withdraw it at this point, he can't.
Yeah, okay.
The language that he had, and it was signed by those citizens, that goes in the warrants. The signatures have been certified. Whether it's the right approach, he didn't, as far as I know, he didn't ask anybody who's involved in town government about it. He might have asked his father, but his father doesn't. He was a park commissioner, really, So, I didn't know about it until it was filed with the town clerk. So, hey, there are things that we can improve in town government. There are more efficiencies that I think we can. I have some ideas on efficiencies that we can accomplish. I don't know if I'd go as far as Michael and abolish town meeting, but there might be some improvements to town meeting that we can make.
Yeah, I say give a committee a charge and let them report back and see what happens.
Yeah. And how many people would be on your committee?
Mine initially has 5. Just somebody, a general citizen in the town who has concerns, somebody with a strong management background, citizen, somebody with a strong public administration background, somebody from the warrant committee, and a representative from general government.
Can I make one suggestion, or could we make sure that they're all taxpayers?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's the taxpayers' money that we're spending here.
Yep.
And
yeah, well, certainly the warrant committee would be, the top 3 I'm saying should be residents, so maybe taxpayers. The general government person could be an employee of the town, or or one of us, or whoever. But
all right,
So you just are amending his
Yeah, I feel strongly that it's tax money that we're spending at
No,
town meeting and all
it
this
should
stuff,
be.
and it should be taxpayers
Yeah.
that we, that, you know, that we have on this committee,
Yep, I have no problem with that.
you know. One of the ones I would consult about this would be the town moderator and see what his thoughts are before we vote. I'd recommend that we table it until the next meeting and just see what Brian Walsh thinks, you know, of the whole thing, and then take it up on the 6th if that's, I agree with the concept, and I, like Bob, I think I agree with you completely, but I just, it's a big step. We used to have the town government study committee. You know, it worked pretty well, but, you know, as changes occur, we do have the facilities committee, so you wonder if, you know, we can, with that new department, we'll be able to do other things in, you know, within the town.
Yep.
You always, I think you always have to be studying that kind of thing. If you live in the past, or you just, things have always been this way, so that's the way we're doing it. That's not, that's not the approach I've ever taken, and I don't think that you guys do
No.
either. I think you got to.
I agree with
You want to
you,
study it?
except to add that if it ain't broke, you don't go fix it. And there's educational institutions that for centuries have been providing the same curriculum, such as the Boston Latin School, that because they're doing things right, you know, they only change what they need to change. And it's the same thing with the town of Milton.
Well,
I
just
think
to
it's
take
good, it's good to take a look at what we're doing and look at areas where we could make improvements and try to make improvements, but not any kind of change in the form of government because it's change.
I just take your analogy one step further. If you look at the curriculum at Harvard, the oldest college in the country, it's been essentially the same liberal arts type of education. They've added a business school. But I think to go to Harvard now, it's $75,000. And when you know they were there in colonial times, it was probably 50 cents.
Right.
You know, so you know you can always look at your costs. When I went to Stonehill, I think I could work a summer, 3 jobs during the summer, and pay for the whole thing. And I got out of there. I think I owed like $1,000.
Yep.
Now it's $42,000 a year,
Yep.
and it's only 30 years. You know.
$500 a semester to go to Northeastern.
Yeah. You know.
So procedurally, you've made a motion to table?
Well, yeah, I agree with everything. I just, I'd like to talk to Brian Walsh about it because I think he deserves to have some input here, and I agree with the concept completely. I just wonder if it should be 5 or 7 and
Sure.
what his thoughts would be.
No problem.
And we'll have your office put together a draft charge for review. So
Yeah,
you have
that'd
it
be
in
great.
advance of the meeting.
Do I need to take a vote on the motion to table? Or?
No, we didn't put a
Just
motion.
table.
It wasn't seconded anyways, and
Okay, so it's just
so, yeah,
tabled.
just
Yeah,
tabled
we'll
it.
just bring it up at the next meeting.
Any other old business? Okay, a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing union collective bargaining strategy, believing that having this discussion in open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the body, and to return to open session only for the purpose of adjournment. Is there a second to
Mr.
the?
Chairman, I just add one, it would be union, non-union collective bargaining, so just have one change.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to what was just said.
I'll second.
Mr. Hurley,
Yes.
Mr. Shields,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney, yes.
See you, Scott.